Welcome to my new studio. It's okay. It happened. Get over it. Move on. You might be wondering what I'm going on about. I had a really wonderful video for you all. I recorded and was editing my studio makeover vlog. It was 3 weeks in the making, and a few days ago I was about to finish the makeover and my hard drive, the big 8 terabyte hard drive, brand new, with all of those lovely little files, crashed onto the floor and no longer works. But you know what? I still have this space. I have this beautiful new office, my wonderfully efficient studio, office, everything room. So I want to take you on a quick tour for how you can use space efficiently when you have to fit a lot into a tiny room. Okay, so as I mentioned, I lost most of my footage from the remodel. I have a couple bits and pieces showing where I started and how I got to the end result. Before the remodel, I was taking up half of the living room, which made it really tricky to kind of separate my work and personal life. And if you've never had to do this before, I'll just walk you through my method for how I approached the project, and it all started with design. There are tons of design apps out there, but I'm just using my Procreate app. And basically all I do is add a document grid to the background, and each of those squares is 1 foot by 1 foot. After I measure the space, I can then draw out the room and all the furniture. And it's really easy to move things around and change things up, so this is a great way to visualize what the space can be and keep track of what you want to do. Then I ordered everything because I knew it would take a little while to arrive, and then I could start organizing and figuring out what needs to go and what I wanted to keep. And I have to admit, this was my least favorite part. It took about a week for me to finally go through everything and organize it all and figure out what was going to stay in the space, which of course included adorable little Floki. I spray painted some of my standing shelves as well as the pegboards and accessories. Wolfie scored some pallet wood, so I was able to disassemble that and sand it down with this electric sander that we were gifted. I actually really love how this wood looks, just natural, so all I did was sand it really smooth and it's now hanging on my walls. But dang, it was a messy process. And speaking of which, instead of giving you guys like this big old boring montage of me installing a bunch of stuff, I'll just show you the bloopers. It's beeping on the whole wall. Like, what does that mean? Oh my god! Am I in the hole? Ah! Go in the hole! Phew! Oh my god! My arms are burning. These shelves are never coming off the wall.
Have you not got a spirit level?
I don't have a level. It's been fun.
I can tell.
Slightly down. What do you mean you can tell?
Your shelves are sweet.
Those are not.
Yeah.
They're deep. I put a battery on it to make sure it didn't roll off. Got it? Or wait, leave it. Or no, yeah, that's good. Now we know.
No, mark this edge as well.
But I don't know if that's straight yet. Okay, you get the idea. Clearly, we need some help or lessons about construction. But you know what? At the end of the day, we figured it out, and now I can show you my new office. So although I'm a full-time artist and spend a lot of my time painting and creating art, I need my space to function on multiple levels. I do a lot of computer work, and it needs to function as a hybrid space of sorts. And I really wanted to take advantage of the natural light in this space, which comes from this one tiny little window in the corner. As nature is my biggest inspiration in my work, it's very important for me to be able to see nature and find ways to bring it into my space. Something that I absolutely love about my new space is that I have a dedicated printing area, whereas before I had to unplug other things in order to plug my printer in, and it was tucked away under my desk, so I had to hunch over and figure out the paper situation every single time I wanted to print. It actually was such a hassle that I was so close to stopping my Etsy shop so I didn't have to fulfill so many orders. Being able to just send my files to the printer and let it do its thing is such a huge improvement. Honestly, it's one of those things you can easily take for granted. Luckily, I was able to kind of squish the printer into the window alcove. As you can see, it's just barely reaching over on top of my desk, but I still have a ton of space to work. Just above the printing space, I have some wall shelves, and that's where I keep my printer paper, as well as some printing ink, and just some other bits and bobs. And of course, as I mentioned, I paint a lot, and so it's really easy to transition between these two tasks. I often utilize these movable arms for my overhead filming, and that makes it really easy to make these art videos. Plus, what you see here is just 100% natural light from the window above, so it's perfect for this. When it came to setting up my computer space, I really wanted to have a seamless transition between the creative area and the computer area, because that makes content production much easier. And I made sure to have a dedicated spot for charging batteries and my card reader, because those are things I do every single day. Now you might notice something a little strange here. Yes, I have 2 mice, and that's because unfortunately I suffer from arthritis and a repetitive stress injury in my right hand. So as soon as that starts to flare up, I can easily switch to my left hand, and both of these mice are ergonomical, so they're much easier on my wrists. Doing voiceovers and streaming means that I always need a microphone, and I love my blue portable mic, and I keep it on a Rode mount because it's much easier to move around and it's very, very sturdy. For as long as I can remember, I've wanted pegboards, and the reason for that is because I'm constantly switching between different tasks, and having something like this where everything is out in the open and I can easily grab it and put it away helps keep my desk clean. In general, it just makes my workflow so much smoother. And of course, I made room for the really important objects. But I have a lot more supplies than this, which means I need some big storage areas. And before I moved into this space, it was kind of all spread out throughout the room, but now everything is very well organized on the left side. And the stuff I access quite frequently is more out in the open, so I've repurposed lots of my old plastic bins for storing old art and papers and art supplies, stuff that I use almost every day. If you've watched my previous videos, you probably know that I love swatch sheets and color mixing charts, and they're very, very useful. And to me, they're just as pretty as hanging art, so I love having a dedicated wall space for them. The rest of my space is dedicated to shipping supplies or things that I don't use quite as often. Since I was on a tight budget and I quickly used up all my existing plastic storage bins, I had to make some out of cardboard, which basically just involved cutting down some boxes and making little dividers. There are plenty of Pinterest boards and online guides for how to make things out of cardboard, and it's something that I've been doing for a long time. For instance, I can dry my oil paintings in these vertical files. Even though I took the time to spray paint my shelves to give them some new life, I still didn't want to show all of my storage and clutter. So I collect flags, and I thought, why not just use some magnets and be able to hide it away when I don't want to see it? I've always loved open shelves, but I don't always love how they look. So this is a really cheap and easy solution to hide away some of the less aesthetic options for storage. I can fit so much on these deep shelves, and I'm still kind of in the process of organizing them, but I really love having some space for my art books and sketchbooks. For things that are a little more fragile or that I just don't need quite as often, I can keep them in these plastic storage bins, but they're really easy to slide out and get into if needed. The things I don't use quite so often get tucked away in the back or the bottom of these big standing shelves. And because the space is so small, I can easily swivel around on my chair and grab things as needed. So thank you so much for joining me on this little studio tour. I'll put links to any of the products that I can think of in the description down below. But otherwise, let me know if you have any questions, and I'm gonna get back to work making more videos for you guys. See you next time.